So, with day 7 and Group C, we're going over these matches again, starting with the NA-EU rivalry, Fnatic versus TSM. We see some standard bans, target bans against Fnatic in the Eve and Thresh, electing to pick Graves first, needing now some AP. He is strong, but Nidalee is open, so a bit interesting to see the priority here. Nida Camille, and yeah, Nidalee as expected, and Camille a priority pick for Broken Blade, Ori Senna, AP mid, and some scaling AD carry. Rather safe pick as well. Going into the next ban phase, Galio for Bjergsen with Camille, Renekton on then banned against Wilpo, taking some safe tops away. Ezra Rakan against the bot lane, just standard bans. Leona then picked, going for more pick potential and skirmishes, also some more engage for their team comp. Brom Volibear, counter for top. Brom is not really that great, but can play kinda safe, and is actually not the real type of engage Fnatic needed. It's more of a follow-up type. Then Jhin elected as well. He's also more of a follow-up, but TSM has more engage, so he's doing that quite nicely. Also a good pick into Senna. Both of Fnatic bots, well, Nidalee and Co may play for top. This is a really safe pick for the TSM. Selfmade in the game, jungle diffing again, getting all the drakes in no time, killing them at spawn, as well as pressuring the lanes and farming more. Similar CS leads grow in all the lanes, and with Fnatic playing so aggressive, TSM is just answering, trying their might, but losing out at all plays. Fnatic able to get Soul at 22 minutes, an Ace, Baron, 25 Magi's on Nemesis, Orianna. Yeah, this is a very important match because with TSM losing here, they're sent home. And that's exactly what is happening. As I said before, complete domination from Fnatic with Selfmade as the core piece here. TSM making many mistakes, but Fnatic still punishing them very good and having some early good rotations, mainly through Selfmade. Similar to what happened against Genji, they were punishing well, but also making plays on top. Fnatic, probably the greatest Western team at the moment, not just lacking some individual skills, but being very clever, having great fundamentals, and the way they play around their jungler is the way to go. Many of the top teams at Worlds do this, from Suning to Down1 to JDG, and yeah. So going to the next game, Lgd versus Genji. Kalista set Lucian on blue side, very strange. And on TF Graves, Nidalee open, very questionable. Renekton then being first picked. I'm not going to say anything about that, it's just horrible. Don't do this. Many counters. Yes, it's a priority pick for Langax, but he needs to be able to play other champions. And yeah, Nidalee, why isn't Nidalee picked for Peanut? It's one of the best champions of all time. Very strange. Senna and Nidalee then picked obviously on Genji's side. Nidalee, maybe she's not the best jungler in some scenarios, but if you can grab her and then draft around her, she's very strong. Lilia, Ori, double AP champs, with Renekton maybe acting as a bridge, but it's still not even remotely good in the draft. In the end, it might work out, but there were better options at any point here. Obviously, Voli is then as a counter pick elected by Genji. Genji, the team which were the first ones to play Volibear into Renekton as a counter pick, As such, I'm not really sure what Lgd is doing here. They should have absolutely know that this is happening. Syndra and Zoe, then BDD bans, and potential Ori counters. Leona Ezreal pinching bot a bit, protecting Senna as well, but the bot lane pool is so large, so it's just a drop in the ocean. Azir for BDD, looking for more DPS and also his comfort pick, Jhin Pantheon for more early pressure and complementing the other early mid-game champions. Tam for life, more safety for Senna and more scaling focus overall in their team. Both teams have no real first year engage. Lgd has late game, Genji on the other side also more late, but they have bridge champions for the early stages, so they're not completely useless and in a power trough early. Peanut having some very unlucky plays, let's call them. Overall, very close calls for Lgd in many lanes, mid lane, top lane, jungle. That's unlucky for them, but Clit and Rascal are punishing these plays heavily, and resulting in great leads early on. Lgd, though, still looking for plays, not being tilted way too much, looking for plays and keeping the deficit just around 2.5k, but it's not really great. Most lanes are okay though. Top is GG at the end though. Genji overaggressing a bit in the following minutes gives Lgd more options for comeback. But remember, their champions, they actually need to be ahead. As such, being behind by a bit is actually being behind by quite a lot. Lang X, though, most tilt-proof player so far, I mean. Like getting camped early, having that unlucky play with his jungler. He shows why Renekton is so prioritized by him. He's a good teamfight Renekton player, able to get some flanks and killing Clit and Rascal as some form of revenge for the early camp. Still, would never recommend picking Renekton. There are many champs who do the same or similar stuff better than him. He's just very linear to play, in contrast to something like an Irelia, a Jax, or like more, let's call them more tank champions who are more complicated. Renekton has some 2v2 potential in the like level 1 to 6, but when it comes to scaling or team fighting, there are champs who do the same stuff way better. So just picking for the first 5 minutes of the game. I would never recommend that. BDD though, then later in the top lane with a great Azir ult, getting Genji the Baron. With his Moralonomicon sponsoring Boris' new campaign for season 11. With Lgd then overcommitting on Rascal, chasing him around. Volibear, is surprisingly fast. Genji is cracking the base completely open. Ruler also heard Boris needs more gold. He buys Infinity Edge on Senna. Showing sadly that Koreans still can't do math and don't know how to buy items. Straight right afterwards, Lgd gets a massive engage on Genji, nearly acing them, getting the Baron to stall the game out way more. The game still heavily in Genji's favor through the scaling. So Lgd is in a bit of a rough spot. They try to go straight through mid to finish the game with the Baron buff, opening up the Nexus, hitting him, but Genji arriving and killing them all, dying in front of victory, resulting in Genji running it down and finishing the game. So a very messy game. Lgd needing to get ahead, but then having some misplays in the early game, which usually wouldn't happen for their player level, but well, they happened, and so they were set way far behind, needing a lot of time to get back. but by that moment, Genji was already outscaling them. As such, yeah, for any late game potential, there were like no chances. Only with backdoors or miracle elder fights, there were chances for them. Going for TSM versus Genji. So TSM already out, playing for Honor, right? And Genji, if they win this, at worst, they play a tiebreaker for second or for first. But yeah, in most scenarios, they are qualified for the next stage. Set Kalista, Renekton against Ruler, Life and Rascal, Caitlyn, TF, Camille, Power Picks, and yeah, against Bjergsen, Double Lift, and Broken Blade. Lucian, then going through, is finally picked off. Senna on, more scaling and team fighting on the other side. Lilia Voli getting pressure in mid, in top, and an AP jungler, setting up for a great early top side power. Graves, a farming jungler against Lilia, like being able to contest her clear speed. AD for Ornn, but now they need an AP mid. Syndra and Leona being banned against BDD and Life, Bart and Braum to protect Ornn, or like to enable Ornn's ult. Ori then picked up, more scaling, team fighting, also the AP. Great Aphelios Thresh, weak early game, but this can be hidden against Senna, so both work well in mid game and late game fights. Tom lastly protecting Senna and co, not adding much though to the overall team comp. He can do some plays with his ult obviously, but yeah, it's just a comfort pick here. TSM with two strong lanes enabling their jungler in the late game. It's a bit difficult for them, but they have still tons of damage with the AD carries. Genji, they want to wait to mid or late game, but have no high pressure unless Ornn or Senna are playing in their lane, but they can just wait and scale, right? Yeah, but TSM now completely out of worlds, so not really mattering for them. Are having a good early game. Speaker, with the help of his team, is able to gap jungle. Yeah, strange thing if you give your hyper scaling jungler attention and winning lanes. Lanes who rotate to support invades. Yeah, strange thing. This works really well, no? Yeah, maybe something they should have picked up earlier. Anyway, Ruler on the other hand, gaping bot lane. But with Speaker being massively ahead and Lucian, well, being Lucian, TSM is dominating the top half of the map, as expected in draft and also executed this time. So this time, not TSM is being punished, but they are punishing Genji's, well, let's call it arrogance in the draft phase, right? Rascal pushing top lane, and then, well, getting run down by Volibear. BDD and co overcommitting for a single pick in the jungle, overextending there without flash and so on, resulting in a 4.5k lead and a 6-0-2 Lucian. Well, what a surprise that this champion is good, right? It's often banned, but more than not even picked up. Really strange that Lucian and Akali as well are not being elected by these by these players. Yeah, so some gold is now giving over to Genji because TSM is not that clean, so they have some deaths here and there. Sadly for them, some shutdowns even. But let's take a look how is Genji spending this gold. Let's short talk about BDD's item in this one. So after Archangels, he went for Seeker's Arm Guard, which is good against the AD, obviously, and then for Oblivion Orb. So let's talk about that. So with him being behind and all, it's really late, it is already really late in the game, and he's getting the item really late. As I said, he's behind. And champs like Voli and Thresh are just per usual out of the pen range in comparison to white stuff, right? Also, Bjergsen and Speaker aren't far from level 16 as he bought this item. And BDD actually wants the game to go to 16 and beyond, right? He wants to scale. And as he's behind, he wants to scale even more. So in that aspect, it's not that great. Aphelios, though, the only champ in the game who will never outlevel Void Staff by his base MR stats. That's something, right? And also Morello against the AD carries lifesteal and Bolívar would be okay-ish. Not super great. But when you think about it, how a more damage item, let's just say Void Staff, right? Or Morelos, not Morelos, right? Leandris, anything that does more damage here. Would one-shot these squishies, and then the healing wouldn't really matter, right? Like you can partially ignore a Volibear if you kill the damage threats behind him, right? If you kill the AD carries, if you one-shot them with your more damage item than Morello, they can't lifesteal. And also it's active lifestealing, so active lifestealing not being that great than passive life regeneration. Anyway, another aspect is Mountain Soul. So TSM has only one Drake, meaning they can get 3 more Drakes, which would mean that even before level 16 and all, the other champions and Aphelios with the bonus MR from the Drakes would be too high for Void Staff, for Oblivion Orb. And now, look at the timer when he bought the item. Yes, he knew Mountain would spawn, and with the pressure on the map, he has to know that TSM will get at least some Mountain Drakes. So it's overall a great mispurchase from Genji's mid laner, wasting tons of money. Like, not even Void Stuff, not even Oblivion Orb was good here. Yes, the squishies do take damage, but if you're behind, you need to spend your money more wisely because you're getting less money per minute, because you have less pressure on the map. You're being denied CS, you're being denied jungle camps. You can't waste your money like this. And additionally, he has Ornn in his team. So Archangels can't get an upgrade, Morelos can't get an update, so he has to wait way more for the free Ornn upgrade. Looking at his items, Seeker's Anger, he's going for Zhonya's probably. Zhonya's is kind of fine against the 2 AD carries. But Azir should never be in range for the AD carries to hit him actually. So the armor is nice, but it's just theoretically. As I said before, if you kill the AD carries with an Ornn ult and a team fight, then the healing doesn't matter, and then the armor also doesn't matter. And the thing is, if these AD carries are actually able to hit you, the bonus, like I think it's 25 armor from Zhonya's upgrade to Paradox Hourglass, it's not worth it. Like, so overall, BDD itemizing very, very bad here. Going back to the game, so TSM is trying to take Baron to push their leads further, and well, to get more control. Genji is moving though to contest, and yeah, it's a bit of a mess. TSM is scrambling all over the place. No one is tanking, so Nidalee is taking the damage. Yeah, Speaker then has to smite for health, cause yeah, the team was leaving him in the pit and just like standing there. And what happens then? Ruler is able to secure it with one auto attack, able to get back into the game, right? Securing more time for Genji. TSM's lead is not as potent anymore. Time is ticking, right? Ornn able to get upgrades, even though they're not the best. It's still free gold and free stats. Genji is not even, but ahead in gold and stats, in gold per stats, right? But yeah, another item buyer which is hindering Genji's ability, another Infinity Edge on Senna. You're just wasting your gold. Like I'm not going over the math. Chakras has done a great video there. Let's just say if you look at Senna's passive, she's not doing normal crit damage. As such, crit items deal way less damage on her with her. So going any crit item is actually very bad. and you're just going rapid fire cannon usually for the range increase, right? Because then you can slow from further and yeah, follow up on that. But you're not going for crit, similar to TF, right? You just get rapid fire for the range. You're not actually going for crit. Anyway, TSM being overall undecisive in the mid and late stages of the game. Kinda afraid probably of Genji coming back, and yeah, this is causing Genji to get back. Genji though losing lives and mid inhib. After a pick though, in the later stages they get Baron. And well then, yeah, look at their team comp. Late game with these champs, even though TSM was so far ahead. Remember they had like 5.5, 4.5k gold leads. Yeah, they're not able to do it. Overextending in mid lane, getting engaged by the Senna with her like great range, resulting in an easy clap here. Well, easy in the late game, right? Genji, what were you doing in the early stages? What are you buying? TSM showing that if they get the right champions, they actually are able to do something in the early stages. This is a bit late though. Yeah, but maybe a takeaway for the next season for them. So now hurrying it up a bit, Fnatic versus Lgd, TF on Kindred, Kindred against Peanut obviously, Syndra, Eve and Lucian against Nemesis and Selfmade. Then Ori being picked first, strong champion, but counter pick. With these bans though, she's a bit more safe, but still a bit iffy. Graves Senna, heavy AD picks, needing more AP and a frontline. Voli Leona, more tanks. Voli blind top, not really liking this one. Jax is a known counter pick so far. Zoe then elected, more mid-game damage. Great combination with Graves, right? The bubble setup for the combined burst damage. Tom Thresh, safe supports banned again, for Senna. Lilia Jhin. Lilia makes very little sense here. There's way too much AP on the team, so they would never elect it, or they should never elect it, right? Nautilus going for more early mid-game fighting and some pick potential here. On the other side, we see big brain play, Ash Hecarim going for the AD champs they needed. More CC though, making Mercs very valuable against AP CC, right? With little auto attack champions. Going over the Hecarim pick a bit later, more in detail. Finishing up with a last pick, Renekton into Volibear. Well, I guess, yeah, Langx says as long as he plays this champ, it's fine. But as I said before, it's not great at all. Don't do this at home. It's really sinful, like they all say. Fnatic on a bit of a timer, if they're even or behind, because Hecarim from behind, not very that great. Also, Mercury Threats very effective. Genji, on the other hand, more scaling, but if they fall behind, or if they are about even, they have very little answers to Hecarim, right? Hecarim sped up, and with the follow-up of, like, let's say Ashe or Orianna, he's completely decimating. Like the 1v1 jungle matchup, no chance. Against Senna, completely rolled over. So yeah, Hecarim is a very dangerous pick here in this matchup. Fnatic playing really smart, using wave control to force leads in like threatening dives, threatening freezes, and get mini kills in bot lane. Just a few moments later though, Fnatic just goes straight into Lgd's jungle with 4 men, lose them all, getting nearly nothing in return, shortening the gap for Lgd. Just 1k ahead is Fnatic, playing more aggressive, which in turn is answered by Lgd. Both teams playing on the edge of int and aggression in these early parts, crossing it one after another, honestly. Fnatic is the one, though, getting better out of these plays, establishing 4k gold lead in 18 minutes. This is mostly the result of CS leads after these chaotic fights. Yeah, and with Xie being so much out of position in the mid game, and the team scrambling to help him. 3 more devs, mid lane turrets, 20 minutes, 7k gold lead. Fnatic poised to get the next dragon, which is an Infernal Drake, amplifying all their champions. It looks really, really rough for Lgd. As I said before, there are little comeback mechanics for them, especially against the Hecarim. So falling this far behind with these mid-game focused champions is really bad. Fnatic then playing against the enemy's win condition, slowing down the game, not going for some fights which may result in Lgd victories, unless they see the perfect moment. And well, yeah, they find this moment, Lgd chasing for some picks in the top lane, Fnatic collapsing for one final fight, and yeah, fighting, winning, and ending the game. Just through draft, there was not much hope for Lgd. Fnatic in-game performance, even though too aggressive at some points, not stopping, and their clever plays in the early game with the wave control weren't really flashy, right? Freezing and zoning is not that flashy. It's not resulting in kills or massive outplays. But this is not how Fnatic plays, right? Their players are good, but they're not individually world class, or like most of them, right? So these clever plays, these strategic plays, are what enables Fnatic to be so good. Not only their team coordination, but also how they play the lanes and manipulate the game state in the early game, which results in how they play around the jungler and enable him to carry. This is exactly the way to play at this meta at the moment, which is shown in by many great teams, as I said before. Lgd now, after with this loss, is out of Worlds actually, and Fnatic with a win against Genji locks first, and with a lose, nothing happens when they lose, then they're second. So yeah, Fnatic playing for first or second, able to get easier opponents. Lgd sadly now out, but they have still a match against TSM. TSM now playing for nothing but honor, right? TSM cannot go winless as the first seed of NA. But honestly, poor performance overall from the team. Kate, Syndra on, TF, Lucian, Renekton, bans which target enemy players from one side, power bans on the other side. Ori first pick. Already talked why this is a bit iffy and shouldn't be able to succeed just so easily. I mean, Ori is not so OP that you can just blind pick her, right? Zilean Graves on TSM side, it seems they are just going for comfort, right? Zilean picked so early is, Zilean into Orianna is not a matchup which Zilean hard loses. But, right, there can be other picks coming in from Lgd which can hurt Zilean very much. Nidalee Pantheon, though, able to get two of the best champions and most dominant early game duo. Camille then, with bans incoming in the second ban rotation, able to ban many annoying matchups, which is done. Jax Volibear are denied. Tam Leona to get Pantheon a good bot lane matchup. Ashe then a comfort pick, also with the arrow, some engage for TSM. Jin Chen decent against Camille, doing quite good. Also can split push with his ultimate, like not split push, but split defend, right? And then lastly for TSM, Braum for the Freljord bot combo. Lgd full early with sub jungle, and if not behind, they have some mid game potential with the cross map ults. TSM looking to scale into late game, but actually more like hyper late game fights. Have some split pushing, but nah. In the game though, Sheer shows why Zilean is not a great pick. Even though picking it into Ori, as I said before, it's not that hard, not that of a punishing matchup. Bjergsen is solo killed at level 3. And yeah, it's the emphasis of one of NA's greatest problem. In NA, Bjergsen can just pick Zilean, win lane, but here at Worlds against competent enemies, he is punished heavily. Yeah, this is not blaming him. It's just they have little good competition, right? Bjergsen and Jensen are just like, if they're at the same level, but they're not pushing each other to a higher level, like Caps and Perks did in EU years ago. So yeah, like it's really bad. They need better practice, and otherwise they become complacent in their ways. After some early fighting though, the game slows down, which is actually good for TSM, but Lgd is able to secure the turrets anyway quite early, which is really bad for TSM as they do small map pressure and their jungle. After some top fights, Lgd gets more and more, and on the back of some mechanical misplays on the other side, they are able to extend the lead. And even the RNG is not on TSM side with Mountain Soul, meaning Lgd is able to get 4 mountains because TSM secured the first 2, which would negate all the lethality of Graves and diminishing most of TSM's damage, as they have no high DPS champs. Overall, Lgd using the long range to hold TSM off, poking them before any fights, decreasing the chance of any fight, which could result in a TSM victory. That's, by the way, we see another Morello, so if you're wondering, it's not working on Zilean's ult. It's coded as a revive, not a heal, so don't buy Morello against Zilean ult, it's not working. TSM able to hold the gold lead on 6k, able to scale a bit, and with them on soul point, right? Maybe there's a chance, but 6k is still 6k. So with a team fight loss, all the potential scaling or soul point matter little, right? 3 mountains for Lgd, another inhib, and even more pressure on the map. TSM going for a desperate play, trying to take Baron fastly, which they're actually able to do. They do Baron quite fast. But yeah, Lgd is trading a Baron for TSM's base. TSM actually was able to nearly crawl back, right, with their team comp having outscaled, and then Soul being a potential they could have gotten or stolen. They could have easily won this game. But yeah, that doesn't really matter now in the end. They were doing so many mistakes, falling down way too harshly in the early game, and then not being able to find the fights they need, not be able to defend the objectives they needed to defend. Yeah, crushing down now with NA's best team or most winningest team in their history, right? TSM. Now another time not coming out of groups, and 0-6 for the first seed. So like not flaming NA here, but in all honesty, maybe NA like shouldn't get the first seed for groups. Like this is a bit of an embarrassment, right? TSM is on the same level, or like Damwon, G2, and TS, and that this is a joke, honestly. Even before groups was already happening, like TSM was like by far the weakest first seed, and this can't be happening again. Like not flaming NA or TSM personally, but if such a weak team and such a weak region is setting a first seed for a group, these groups are like blown out at the end. And yeah, these first seeds should be first seeds for great teams, so we don't get too many super teams in one group, right? So we don't get, I don't know, like first seed of Korea, second seed of China, and second seed of EU in one group. Like this didn't happen this time, but something like this shouldn't happen, right? Because we want all the great teams in the knockout stage to see best of fives. So with NA sending a first seed, which is like on a wildcard level, right? So like teams like PSG, teams like Machi won games at least, and yeah, like this is honestly a bit disappointing for Worlds at all, and very greatly disappointing for NA and TSM. There has to be something down for NA, and yeah, overall Worlds has to change a bit, right? We can't just give TSM and NA the buy because they're a major region. If they're not performing on major region level, then yeah, that has to be punished, right? LMS and PCS were losing seats just because they were merging. Yeah. Anyway, enough about that. The final match now for place one. Eve Wooly banned against Fnatic's top side, and Kalista, TF, and Zed being banned against Ruler and Life, right? But you noticed Lucian. Yeah, as obviously first picked. Very good. Shows that Genji is not like 2 IQ. Lucian, obviously a very, very potent pick. Already talked about it a lot. On the other side, Graves Senna, good scaling and farming, but again, much AD, and yeah, they need some setup. Nidalee Renekton, early game power with the Lucian. The AP combination of Nidalee Renekton and Nidalee Illusion, good mixed damage, and we see already top lane completely dominated, right? Yes, Renekton is able to be counterpicked, but with Nidalee having so much pressure and already like Lucian wins also every matchup in mid lane and pressuring every matchup in mid lane. So even if like there's a fully counterpick top lane, Renekton with Nidalee can pressure the 2v2, and then when Lucian is able to get in fog of war and hover to top lane, Fnatic's not able to contest these fights and have to back off, right? So yeah, all early power in the top side. And then we see Leona with Senna, good bot, also some engage. Yeah, standard pick. Ezreal Tom Kenshin banned. Interestingly, this is the most common bot lane Genji plays. So yeah, just some comfort banned. Syndra Ori banned. The common AP mids, right, that would follow. Then we see a Malphite pick actually. Very good pick here, I have to say. Nidalee is not doing anything to Malphite, right? She's not a consistent DPS champion. Renekton in 1-1-1, yeah, early he's pressuring Malphite, obviously. But if Malphite gets his Thornmail Sunfire Cape, there's nothing Renekton is actually doing if Renekton isn't like 10-0. Similarly, Lucian. Malphite could actually go into mid lane here. Not even AP Malphite, just normal Malphite. And yeah, very strong pick against these three. Also, we have to keep in mind there's an AD carry coming up. So yeah, if it's an immobile AD carry as well, yeah, really strong pick here. Aphelios Taric is the bot lane elected for Genji. More team fighting and scaling. Again, not great into Malphite here. Lulu mid for Nemesis, scaling nicely. Not that much AP damage on their team. And with a Lulu mid lane, they are completely conceding any pressure on the entire map, right? Malphite is not a pressure point. Graves into Nidalee is not really a pressure point, but jungle 1v1 is not really a concept that exists in reality. Lulu into Lucian, we don't even have to talk about this. Aphelios, Senna. There is no pressure here for either lane, right? Both are farming. Leona can can engage, right? But Taric is so safe. And yeah, the pressure, the difference in the bot lane is not great enough to should create any major leads for Fnatic. Additionally, like just literally looking around bot lane once or twice should always turn the favor to Genji again. So yeah, Fnatic completely sacrificing early and mid game to scale, for obviously for team fights, right? They have to play away from Genji's win conditions, so not fighting early, not dying, just farm, give something up here and there, and then go for their cheap items, right? Malphite, Lulu, supports and tanks. Their items are way cheaper than damage items, so they are able to complete them faster, get the power spike earlier. So maybe this way they can counteract the gold deficit, which will obviously happening, right? Fnatic starts smartly with a big brain gank mid lane, then swapping Malphite into Lucian. But then, some misexecutions happen. Suddenly, Fnatic members are dying all over the map, losing a 2v2 bot lane, having some mishaps and over aggression in the top lane, which is not needed, right? They just need to scale and wait. Like it's just like your solo queue games, right? Where you're telling your team members to just farm on the turret. It's the same thing. Like, lose a turret plate. Lose a dragon. Like, lose a jungle camp. Doesn't matter. If you're like just like 3k, 4k behind in I don't know, in 20 minutes, you're actually completely fine. But this way, 6-2 in kills, 5 minutes, 2k gold lead for Genji. Now this is expected, but was avoidable, right? But the follow-up of this small lead from Genji with their champs is what really broke the camel's back. Mid lane turret lost in 11 minutes with Herald. Lucian 10 CS per minute. Aphelios 2-0, similar CS per minute stats. Genji looks strong. They have just like 30th minute to finish the game. But with such a lead, it looks great for them. And then in terms of the cheap items, right, I was talking about that just a second ago. When Lulu and Lucian finish their second item at the same time, it's completely illegal, right? Lucian's items are so damn expensive. Lulu's items are one of the cheapest in the game for a mid laner. Genji was snowballing way too fast with Heralds, cracking Fnatic's base in before 20 minutes, having a 9k gold lead. It's just insane. Just from these few misplays in the early game, Genji was able to snowball so hard and punish Fnatic's very greedy scaling comp. 2 items on Malphite and Lulu, right, getting their power spikes. Because they are so cheap, they were able to get them on similar timings to Genji. But remember, Genji's items are way more expensive, indicative to the gold lead. With Soul Point for Genji though, with Mountain Drakes, think about what Fnatic's comp is. They have no real high damage threats. They have much utility and rely on Senna and Graves. So 280 champions with Mountain Soul and the Mountain Drakes, Fnatic's comp would cease to do any damage at all. Looking though at the Baron, at an aftermath of a Baron take for Genji, Fnatic is actually able to show why their team comp is so good in these later stages. Like having so much tankiness, having so much utility, even though they're so far behind, they're actually able to like have a stare down contest, right? Fighting and skirmishing a bit, but over pushing their lead because they need the kill, they need the gold. If they don't want to, they have the game finished on them. They're being like maybe desperate here, so overextending, overforcing this fight. Genji then turning, slapping them with their massive gold lead in the face, slaughtering them all, and then being next to Fnatic's base, they're just ending the game in 23 minutes. The game was the epitome of a scaling comp gone wrong and also being punished strongly. So we have to give credit to Genji and fault Fnatic for this. Usually it's one or the other, but in this one, Fnatic was really inting it down in the beginning, not identifying how they were actually able to win the game. And yeah, Genji saw a light at the end of the tunnel and were sprinting at it, right? Taking a step to take a mile or something like that. Overall though, Genji ending with a clean game after this rough day, having not really good games overall. Important though, members like BDD and Ruler are being more stable throughout the day and increasing their aggressive play by quite a bit. So this is very important for the best of fives against some other teams, right? Looking at the second seeds, G2 and JDG, two more crazy teams, right? JDG a bit more laid back, so that would be a good matchup for Genji actually. On the other hand, G2 with their craziness, they need some early leads against Genji. Against Genji, I would have to say. So yeah, that would be a bad matchup for Genji. Even though the bot gap could be quite interesting. Additionally, Caps being the main carry for G2, he should not be able to get any major leads in the 1v1. Similarly, Rascal is used to being on an island, so yeah, I doubt that Wonder would be able to completely smash him. In jungle, Clit is also not doing that great on this farm meta. Similarly, Jankos also not doing too well here. So yeah, Genji has some nice matchups against the second seeds here. On the other hand, Fnatic against the two first seeds, yeah, they're doing really well, right? They had some really good games against Lgd and TSM today. But yeah, individually, there are still some misplays here and there. They're really smart. I've talked about that a lot. But yeah, they could face major problems against Damwon. Suning is doable, but also with expected TES coming in first, the individual weakness of these players on Fnatic side could be exploited. So looking last glance at Group C, Genji first, Fnatic second, Lgd third, and TSM dead last with 06. And yeah, let's talk about a bit of history here. EU second again, Korean team first. Yeah, just like Group A and B. Also, just like last year, where yeah, every Korean team was first, every European team that made it over groups was second. Again, a Chinese team going home in groups. Yeah, so another time the narrative of like EU and LPL being so super good and Korea being washed up is not what is reflected in reality. So looking at what might happen tomorrow, will TS go undefeated? Maybe. Will FlyQuest be the NA's last hope? I don't think so. Maybe they can get a win. I mean, they're winning against UL. Maybe something more. Not really thinking about that. Will Dragon X be the next Korean team in first? Maybe. The game against TS was rather close. And then will UL be able to upset with their crazy plays against any team? Yeah, let's wait and see. But that's it for today. A very long video. I was talking about a bit of many other things here and there, talking about NA, itemization, and some draft stuff. So yeah, hopefully you liked it. And yeah, wish you all a great day. See you then tomorrow at a similar time.